I've never said anything like that. I think you're exaggerating a bit. It seems to me that you're being a bit overly sensitive. Do you often hear these or similar accusations or denials? Is there anyone in your life who constantly tells you these things and makes you doubt yourself? Then come to the so-called gaslighting. It is a psychological manipulation pressure. You may even be a victim of psychological violence. Gaslighting is an interesting word. We can define it as psychological manipulation, but if we look at its origin, it takes its name from a movie called Young Slide, published in 1944. Without giving spoilers, in short, in the story, a man makes his wife believe that she has lost her mind. You can watch it to fully understand it, but almost all of us are affected by this effect. We have been exposed to it and we are being exposed to it, and it is fair to say that no one is safe. Those who are prone to all kinds of violence, dictators, narcissists, or some very sweet leaders use it skillfully, and most of the time, those who are exposed to it are not even aware of it. So, what does Gaslighting? And how do you know if you are a victim of this? Let's talk. Psychologists come. They use the term fighting for any tactics that a person uses to question the reality, memories, or general perception of another person or group, and this is a very serious problem indeed. Starting to question the traces of reality is one of the biggest problems you can experience. In fact, it does not always manifest itself in the form of major manipulations. It often starts small. These pressures, but over time these small pressures can turn into a pressure rather than a snowball effect. And eventually you find yourself in a cycle where you are deprived of making a healthy mind and logical decision, and this can be observed in the relationships between your young hours beloved spouse or parent and child, and even in your relationships with your boss, a colleague, and as we said, it can happen even at the social level, but in all cases it is necessary to pay attention to some signs and be aware of them. First of all, this effect is mostly authority. More precisely, there is a power dynamic. The person who is exposed to manipulation generally sees the other person as an act of power or is reluctant to change it because he is very familiar with the dynamics of this relationship. He is afraid of losing that person, or because he is afraid of losing that person, he submits to little psychological games that do not seem very important to him. If the person in return is someone you love, you want to believe in this person, and this belief of yours can turn into a powerful weapon for the other person, and especially if the balance of power is equal. Changing your own perception in order to experience a conflict may not be a big problem for you. You can tolerate it, or let's say so. By the way, don't get me wrong, the person who manipulates you is not necessarily a bad person, or maybe he is not even aware of it. His upbringing can be very determining, especially here. If you grew up in a family environment where it was black or white, when you go out into the world and see people with different thoughts, you can definitely start to think that there is something wrong with them. But before we go deeper, let's go to a general big misunderstanding. Fighting and lying are not the same thing. They are often confused. So first, if you want, let's briefly talk about lies and why people lie. If you watched it in Housem, it was in almost every episode of Rego House. Yes, everyone lies. Where's the biggest fear? The fear of getting into trouble and getting into trouble. Most of these lies are small lies. Like telling your family that you were studying while hanging out with your friends. Like telling the teacher that the electricity is out. Look, some lies are not that simple. If you lie in an investigation, you can even go to jail. For example, or if you are guilty, the police will lie. They try different techniques because they see you through your eyes. There are also lie detectors or snakes that we call white lies. What we say to protect others or to hurt their feelings is taken from you. It's a gift that you don't like at all, but you say it's great, you like it very much, something like that. You have to be careful here. If you throw away or sell the gift and the person who gave it finds out about it, you may get into bigger trouble. And because you didn't like the gift and because you lied, that's why it's white. However, it is better to stay away from lies anyway. There are also pathological liars, those who lie to get attention, those who tell that they are the nephew of a famous person as if they have done extremely dangerous activities that they have never done. And at some point, they even exaggerate so much that they start to believe their own lies and actually live in an illusion. In fact, when you think about it, it gets even better. There are many types of lies, and it seemed to me that it was necessary to make a separate video about lies, so let's not lose our room. And as I said at the beginning, the most dangerous and organized type is in his youth. In this case, the liar is a person who consciously distorts a person's perception of reality in order to gain power or maintain his position. The most common example, especially in clinical psychology, is highly abusive spouses, and in most of the cases encountered, men are the ones in this regard, and there are some tactics that are almost constantly repeated in all cases. If you want, let's examine these tactics. First of all, yes, rejection. In other words, direct rejection when faced with an accusation.